Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom with Jay Wise and Nathan Drinkard. I'm your host, Cody Ward. Thank you for spending some of your time with us tonight. As a reminder to all our listeners, besides being on all your favorite podcast platforms, A Drink of Wisdom is also on YouTube with each show segment available. Head on over, and if you like what you hear, we would appreciate your subscription. What's going on, guys? Happy Friday. A lot to get into tonight.
Yep, whole lot to get into. That Super Bowl rematch was real cool last night. NBA player rankings, just so much to get into. Let's go ahead and rock and roll on it.
Let's talk some sports, baby. What's going on, fellas? You know what it is. Pull up a seat. You know we got to speak, etc., etc. Don't let that get too far ahead of you. Let's roll, Cody.
All right, in episode 21, Playoff P gets paid. We're ranking the top 10 players in the NBA, and we're checking in on college football. Let's go ahead and get going tonight with a look back at Thursday Night Football. The New England Patriots suffered a big loss to the Los Angeles Rams, 24-3. The Rams defense shined under the lights, forcing Cam Newton into a rough game where he threw for just 119 yards and had a pick six. Jared Goff wasn't exactly amazing either, but Cam Akers did help hide that with over 170 yards rushing. The win propels the Rams to first place in the NFC West and likely locked up their playoff spot. Meanwhile, the Patriots need a miracle to find their way into the postseason now. So, Jay, how good are the Rams exactly, and what's next to the Patriots?
Oh, well, I don't know how good exactly the Rams are. I'm still, even though it's I think it's quite impressive what they've been able to accomplish this year, given our expectations for them before the season started. It's kind of amazing to me. I think Drinks brought this up from time to time. It's all the money they seemingly have spent and just stacked on several key positions. We thought they'd end up paying the price for it, but they appear to be doing quite well. And I think the biggest surprise has been their defense has played remarkably well. I believe it's performing at the level of a top 5 unit. And when you look at that defense is clearly built around two cornerstones in Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. Outside of that, you look up and down that defense and you're not quite sure who some of these guys are, but they play well as a unit. It's amazing to me when you look back a couple of years ago at the Rams defense when they had Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters and you brought in guys like that and you just expected under Wade Phillips for that defense to be the best thing smoking. It never really materialized. This unit right here is playing better than that unit ever did, despite not having as much star power. But between Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and some other guys on this defense, they make it happen. I think their defense has really set the tone for them. And I think they're built kind of how they play the way Sean McVay wants to play. They're predicated on the running game. And Jared Goff, they like to get him on play action, get him outside the pocket, get the defense flowing one way, and then they'll throw it where the defense away from where the defense is trying to focus in on the run. When they run the football, and Jared Goff can use play action, they're very difficult to stop. He's got of course he's got a very good pair of wide receivers, Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. So they have a lot of good things. I'm still a little unsure about how far they can go. I think they've absolutely overachieved thus far. But as far as if you ask me, if the question is, are they a legit Super Bowl contender? I absolutely don't see that at this point. And to be quite honest, in terms of the game, what we saw happen last night, I know the score seemed a bit lopsided, but I don't think the Patriots were really supremely outplayed. I didn't think when you look at the comparison between Goff and Cam Newton last night, I don't think Jared Goff really outplayed him, by an extreme margin. But I mean, when you look at what the New England Patriots are right now, I mean, their offense is pretty limited, and I think some of it. One of the guys that I don't think has been brought up quite often this year is the Patriots offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels. I mean, I'm looking at this offense last night, and some of the the Patriots obviously got off to a rough start last night. They were down 10-0, and then they had 3 straight drives where, to me, I think they lost the game. Obviously, when you throw a pick six on a screen pass, that's just one of those, just ill-timed, poor decisions, which has really haunted Cam Newton this year. And then you have 2 more drives back to back where on the drive after that, when it was 17-0. The Patriots, they get into a goal-to-go situation, and then they run the ball 4 straight times in that goal-to-go situation. And it's almost like, where was the creativity in the offense? I mean, you couldn't dial up one pass play in that time. And then on the next drive, you stall out in the red zone again. So you had 3 really sustained drives back to back to back, and you come away with 3 points. To me, that was the point in the game where the Patriots had a chance, to get back in the game, and that was where they lost it. They obviously got off to a really bad start. That first drive was the Rams was boom, 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 boom. You had a big pass play to Tyler Higbee for about 25 after an offsides penalty. Cam Akers broke off his first 35-yard run, I believe it was, and they scored it. They scored rather quickly. And then, the Patriots went 3 and out. The Rams kick a field goal. And the Patriots on the drive where Cam threw the interception on the screen pass, it looked like if they'd have been able to score on that drive, they could have kind of turned the tide back. But they weren't able to do it for whatever reason. And you know as well as I do, when you're a team like the Patriots and you're so predicated on running the ball and you get behind by a margin like that, I mean, it's almost impossible to come back. And I think, obviously we've spent a fair amount of time, criticizing Cam Newton for his performance this year. And it hasn't been good. When you look at what we expected from him, and my position on this is we like to see a little bit of a transformation. Let's move a little bit away from running the football. Let's go back and try to be a little more traditional, because as I've said, numerous times, as you continue to age, the body is going to be able to it's not going to be able to withstand some of those hits. In my mind, he's done a fine job running the football. But as he continues to age, it's not going to be the same way. He's not going to be able to handle all those hits. So he's going to have to do better than he's done this season. If he's got legitimate, if he legitimately wants to continue being a starting quarterback. I mean, we saw it in the offseason. Nobody was calling Cam Newton for whatever reason. So he's got to perform better. I think I know Bill Belichick has already came out and said Cam's our starting quarterback, because from what I see, I don't think Jarrett Stidham appears to. It doesn't look like he's got much at all. And I think it's almost a little bit similar to what Philadelphia is dealing with Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts. The supporting cast, I think the Patriots, their complement of receivers, it's just not all that impressive. I mean, when Damiere Byrd, I believe, is your leading receiver, I mean, I don't know what that is, but that doesn't inspire the greatest amount of confidence. And when on the broadcast, when they showed that graphic of the wide receivers that the Patriots have drafted, I believe were they all first-round picks? I think they were, maybe not.
So,
but
yeah.
I don't think they were. No. Braxton Berrios, he wasn't a first-round pick.
Oh yeah.
But the point is when you looked at that group of wide receivers, and like almost all of them except for N'Keal Harry and there was one other one that's been drafted kind of recently, but guys like Braxton Berrios and Aaron Dobson and Malcolm Mitchell, and I mean none of these guys are around, so it kind of is. And that's one criticism I think that's been levied at Bill Belichick. Maybe it's one of those reasons that Tom Brady isn't around anymore, because you couldn't necessarily get him the weapons and develop those players at the skill positions, and they're obviously paying the price for it. And when you turn the ball over, a team like the Patriots that is so they really have to be methodical about moving the football, because they don't have much of a passing game. When you throw pick sixes like that, it's gonna bite you. And of course the Patriots defense, I thought they competed fairly well, but they just couldn't do enough in the run game defensively. Cam Akers, obviously a career night for him. I think last point on the Rams, I think the being able to see somebody like Cam Akers come out, have a breakout night. They've been running like a 3-man backfield the entire season with Darrell Henderson, Cam Akers, and Malcolm Brown. I think that was very easily the most impressive performance last night on the season for a Los Angeles Rams running back. And I think somebody coming out and having a kind of like, obviously you want to, I think as a head coach, offensive coordinator, you want to go with the hot hand at that position, but you'd like to see one of those 3 guys stand out and a guy you can feature a little bit for. And I think that may have been the most positive development for them last night, having a guy like Cam Akers really have a breakout performance, and a guy maybe you can rely on him down the stretch and into the playoffs.
Okay, so I want to start kind of where you was hitting at the end, Jay. First of all, like you said, I think one thing that's overlooked is we got to talk about Bill's track record when it comes to drafting offensive players. Clearly, he drafts pretty well on the defense side of the ball. I ain't gonna knock him on that, but the offense, he had Gronk and Brady. Who else has he drafted in the first round since his tenure in the Patriots? That was just a surefire like Hall of Fame or a top 10 player of their position outside of those two.
I mean,
You'd have to.
they've had a couple of good running backs and offensive linemen. I mean,
yeah, I would, and this probably is going way back, but I mean, there aren't a lot that stand out. I know Logan Mankin's one of their offensive linemen. This was like years ago. That was a guy who panned out quite well. But like you'd have to delve through, and you got to obviously take some time, put some thought in it before like somebody just jumps out at you.
They have quality starters, and also consider they draft late in the draft every year. I mean, pretty much.
Right. But I get so that's all right. So all that ties into my point. So I don't think he's that good at drafting offensive players. I would say this: he's better at going in the free agency and saying, okay, this team didn't get enough out of this guy. I think I can get a little more out of this guy.
Right.
So therefore, that's why you see a lot of, interchangeable pieces on the Patriots, because that's what he do. He would rather do that than draft. Let's talk about this offense. This offense is trash. That's right. I'm going to say it. It's trash. I got it. People was waiting on Cam Newton to come here and be the second coming of Jesus Christ and make something out of this offense. But it's not. I'm sorry. Cam, I'm not even going to knock you on this. Like, it is what it is. You need to play better. I'm not even going to make this segment about you because I think this offense was trash before you got there. And they put it all on your shoulders. And now we get to see how much trash it is. And, hey, them same players you named, ain't one of those the players that was playing with Tom Brady last year? When they got the young Wanaruski, got out of here in the wild card weekend?
It's almost. I think it's almost worse because I mean Edelman's not playing right now. Mohamed Sanu, so it's almost. I think it's almost worse.
Yo, Mohamed Sanu didn't do crap. No, you can't give Mohamed Sanu credit for nothing.
He's got a name. At least he's got a name. You know him.
So I'm just saying this offense is trash. The defense is pretty decent, but this offense is trash. So that's all I got to say about the Patriots. I've been wanting to say that for a while. It's been a long time since you watched the Patriots and said, yo, they trash on either side of the ball or special teams. This year, you can get away with saying that offense is trash. Now, let me go over to the Rams. Jay brought up the point that I like to talk about. The Rams, they got the old American Express. They just out here spending money willy-nilly. But I would say this, for all the money that the Rams have spent, the Cowboys need to take notes. Hey, Jared, you need to go over there and talk to your boy Crunky. Oh, you wonder what I mean? Here's what I mean. They paid Aaron Donald and Jaden Ramsey. Are those not the two best players on their defense?
No doubt.
This is what you pay players for, to be the best players on your unit. They played Jared Goff. Now, I got my reservations about them paying Jared Goff. But I would tell you this. Jared Goff ain't out here looking like Carson Wentz. You ain't regretting your money like that. You ain't regretting your money like Nick Foles, like paying him all that money. So you can sit here and say Jared Goff is overpaid, but Jared Goff doing enough to justify the payment that he got.
He's certainly not losing them games.
Exactly. So there go three players that they didn't spend past money on. Let's talk about the two players that they spent money on this offseason. Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. Well, what do you know? Both of those guys are performing. So the reason I'm bringing this up and the reason I say, hey, Jared, whip out your notepad is because when I pull up your five guys, we looking totally opposite. When I pull up Zeke and DeMarcus Lawrence and Amari Cooper and, you know what I'm saying, et cetera, I guarantee you the product doesn't match the paycheck. I can guarantee you that. So that's the difference. I used to give the Rams a lot of crap because they were spending so much money, but then hindsight, it seems to be working out. At
least they're paying the right people.
They're paying the right people. It might be 5 people got 80% of the salary cap, but let me tell you, they winning. Right now, who's the better team in the NFC West? Who's better than the Rams right now? It ain't the Seahawks. They up and down. It's not the 49ers due to injury. Let me go ahead and get it. Due to injury, it's not the 49ers. And we talked about the Cardinals in the last show. You just don't know. Like, they've been hit or miss lately. Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury, they've been kind of, up and down. So the Rams look like the best team right now. And this was the team, and I just speak for myself, I thought was going to be the floor mat of the NFC West this year. What do I know? You know what I'm saying? A couple of months later, look where we at. So I think the Rams, they spent their money good, or they just got lucky to the players that they spent their money on are performing. They're better players. And usually when you have that recipe, your team is doing well, the Rams is doing well. You know what I'm saying? And before I close it out, I would just like to say that the Rams is not a NFC championship contender. I'm not going to sit here and say that. But I do think the Rams can get into the playoffs and win a game. So they can get into the divisional round. I mean, they get into the wild card round, win a game, and I can see them playing in the second weekend. That's about the ceiling for me, And it looks as if they keep playing the way they're playing, they will get the first game at home rather than on the road. Doesn't really matter. I understand, no fans and all that. I got that. But it's just something about accomplishment. Like, we played well enough. We was told we was going to look like this, but this is what we look like. We get a home game. Whoever the home game, probably coming there, smoke them or whatever. But they get a game. So my overall overview last night, Cam is still the starter, according to Bill Belichick. It is what it is. At the end of the day, he's by far the best quarterback option they got. So if that's what you're going to get out of him, that's what you're going to get out of him. I would hope he played better, but he's your best quarterback option. I hate to see this for Cam because we all want to see Cam bounce back, from everything that went on at the end of his tenure with the Panthers. But the Patriots is not good. When we just gonna leave it alone? They're just not good this year. We just gotta get them the same treatment we give any other sorry ass team. You suck. Get them out prime time games. I understand what their name is. 1 o'clock window, 4 o'clock window, Thursday night football. Let's keep them in that area. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to see them on NBC no more. We done with that. We don't want to see them on primetime CBS. And I damn sure don't want to see them on Fox. You cannot be waiting Joe Buck on some sorry-ass Patriots this year. I'm sorry. So that's my thing on Thursday night football. Holla at your boy. Hey, Rams, I owe y'all an apology.
Yeah, this I think what we saw last night really was the Patriots hit their ceiling, right? I mean, I think we realized that Bill Belichick is still one of the best coaches to ever coach the game, in the NFL, period, the end. I think we know that Cam Newton is a veteran quarterback. He's been around plenty of times, but they just, like you said, they're not that good. And really the offense is where you see it. The defense is still, again, Bill's cobbled together a defense that can win some games. I mean, they just shut out the Chargers last week and all the rookie sensation, Herbert and all that. They just went out there and absolutely just destroyed them. But, you get into a game with a little bit better team, and then all of a sudden the tables completely turn. And for Newton, I still don't think this is the best. I don't think it's to the point where he just can't play anymore, but he can't really elevate this bad of an offense. I mean, I heard this on, I think I saw a clip of Colin Cowherd. He made a good point, up and down with his points, but this one was good. He said, look, if you looked at the 10 skill positions on the field in that game, when would the first Patriot come up? Like, you're talking about, quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, etc. What Harris would maybe he the first one? At like 8, 9? If you even you could almost name 10 Rams. So I think that McDaniels the play calling has gotten so vanilla, and it's like that low confidence play calling that you just know sometimes an offensive coordinator just doesn't feel like they can call the plays they want to call, and they get like the plan B calls, and it has that stench of just there's not a lot of confidence in that team. There's not a lot of confidence that receivers can get themselves open, so you've got to kind of work the plays to get them open, and it just turns into a mess. And then I think Jay said, the first mistake is just that's game over. That pick six, and that's the thing that Cam really can't do. That's the difference in Cam just doing as good as he can with the offense, and then there's missing the bigger plays and then throwing horrendous pick sixes. That's the line, and last night Cam was over that line, and it's sad to see. Like I said, I was one of the people that thought he was going to be the best thing ever and come back and it'd be great, but it sucks that it's not happening. And
Can I
for the
just say,
Rams, yeah, go for it.
go ahead, finish your Rams point. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Rams. They're making good decisions. I mean, we really, they're paying the best players on the field, and I think it's funny when you contrast a system team like the Patriots. All about the system, and then you go to the Rams. They just said, well, we're gonna get a good coach. We're gonna pay the best people we have, and then we'll just see what happens. And lo and behold, they haven't gotten a Super Bowl contender out of it, but they got a pretty good team. I think if Jared Goff was the player they thought they were getting number one overall, they would be nearly a Super Bowl contending team still. I mean, they went to one, and they could be going to more. But I think the problem is Jared Goff is just pretty good. He's not great or amazing. I mean, he's 3,500 yards, 18 touchdowns, 11 picks this year. His turnovers are getting better, but it's still not great. And he's not Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson or any of the other, top picks of the recent years. And that holds them back from being like truly elite. But this team is pretty good. And with all these players paid, they're going to be really good for a number of years, you would think. And just real quick for the playoff, picture, the Patriots are almost guaranteed to be out, where the Rams have the Jets and they have the Seahawks and Cardinals in their last three, and they easily could win two. I mean, they're clearly going to beat the Jets, and then they win even one of the last two. I mean, they're definitely getting in the playoffs, and they should be a fairly high seed. And like you said, Drake, they're probably going to be able to host a playoff game. You would imagine at this rate, since Seahawks want to do what they do. But what'd you have, Jay?
Yeah, and I just want to go back to the point you make about the how the Patriots run their offense, because I don't think it's something that can be undersold. I know the whole thing this season seemingly has been, just keeping an eye on Bill in New England and looking at Brady in Tampa Bay. I think the biggest loser in all of this could be Josh McDaniels. When is Josh McDaniels, and people have been talking about this for years, and obviously, he had a 2-year coaching run with Denver Broncos, which didn't work out, but he had the Indianapolis Colts coaching job in the bag a couple of years ago, gave it up. Nobody's gonna hire Josh McDaniels now, because now you talk about like, what is it, Bill or is it Tom? Well, we can keep arguing that, but we know who it ain't. It definitely ain't Josh McDaniels, because if it was, you could absolutely cobble something better together than this. And to me, that first and goal where they ran the ball 4 straight times, it absolutely spoke to a lack of confidence in your quarterback. And they didn't even look like a pro offense last night. I don't even know if it was a college offense. I just think Josh McDaniels, I know we hear about Cam Newton and Bill Belichick, and I know they get the brunt of the criticism. I think that's correct. But Josh McDaniels, I don't want to undersell how I don't think Josh McDaniels had a good season at all.